Welcome to the 2017 Year in Review video, Awards Edition! Today we have lots of video games to discuss and lots of awards to award for the bestest games that were released in the year 2017 AD. Award for the best game featuring bugs. Mass Effect Andromeda earns its place for the only thing people seem to remember it for, being buggy. Skyrim, re-released for the 50th time, gets onto this list in spite of it not technically coming out this year. The team's commitment to not fixing bugs, even when community members have done it for them, is truly something to be admired. Big Rigs Over-the-Road Racing gets on next, even though it That was an audio bug. Even though it released 14 years ago. The game is so poorly made they forgot to program collision on whole sections of the racetracks and also let you drive it near 90-degree angles up slopes. It earned its nominee. Hollow Knight, a game where you play and interact with, insect bugs, and has few actual technical bugs, gets a nominee because it's a game with real, insect bugs. And the winner is Hollow Knight! Hollow Knight is an amazing Metroidvania. If when I say the word Metroidvania, you go, oh yeah, those are cool, you should go play Hollow Knight as soon as possible. It's at the top of its class in more ways than one. Award for Best Update to a Game from Yesteryear. Hearthstone's Cobalt and Catacombs released with tons of new cards, and that's cool, but dungeon runs are why this gets a nominee. Dungeon runs are good enough to be a small standalone game, and at that they are completely free. A truly great, odd that I'm saying this at all, combination of roguelike and card game. Awesomenauts this year went 4.0, and with it went free to play. The subsequent patches added new characters and modes, but the move into free to play really gave the game new life. Somehow Ranmo Games have enough players to still support a now 5-year-old multiplayer only indie game, and I still play it, and I still love it. Team Fortress 2's Jungle Inferno had a lot of time baking in the oven, but it was well worth the wait. Pyro got 4 new items, Heavy got a pity prize, and they are all unlockable without as much hassle as before. The 5 new maps are quite fun, and the new general contracts are amazingly fun. TF2 is a decade old now, but this update shows it's still going strong. Overwatch's Uprising added a new co-op level to the game, and with new story and fun gameplay, this update stands out as the best event in the game's lifetime. And the winner is Jungle Inferno from Team Fortress 2. Jungle Inferno is a truly great game update. It did everything it set out to do and more. It breathed new life into a now decade-old game and truly defines it as the best casual FPS on the market. The new weapons and maps are a blast, and contracts are so fun to complete, this update will rekindle your love for Team Fortress 2. Award for the best Relapse, a game from yesteryear that captured me just like before. For this category we first have Terraria, a game which I played through the entirety of again with a group of friends. It was still Terraria. Team Fortress 2, which Jungle Inferno had me playing for hours and hours on end even into the next year. Stardew Valley, which released on Switch and captured me for 50 hours. It was a pretty big time sink. And Awesomenauts, which free-to-play update and the release of the Renegades captured me for hours and hours on end. And honestly, I don't really know which one. I would look at how much time I played each, and I don't know which one. So they all win, because they all captured me just like before and were really fun games, so they all win. The award for Best Spy Game. First is Little Nightmares, a game where you sneak around sometimes, and there's scary things, so you sneak, and you're kind of like a spy in that respect. Next is GoldenEye 007, which earns its nominee because it's aged like a fine carton of milk, and it is not at all totally unplayable by any modern standards. Kamiko gets in this category because it didn't fit into the other ones, and the joke is that it is going to be a spy. It is a spy among the category. It is not actually supposed to be here because it is not about spies, but it is in fact spying on the category as a game, which is a really funny joke. The last game in the category is Beholder, a game where you play as a landlord, spying on your tenants in a dystopian future where the government controls everything in a clearly Orwellian-style world. And the winner is Beholder! The game which most actually fits the category of spy game, because you have to spy on your tenants. The other 3 are kind of not so much spy games, but Beholder is a good game, and it's about spying, so it wins. It's the winner of the category. Congratulations, here's your trophy. It doesn't exist. Up is the award for Best Couch Crouching for couch multiplayer games. First is Invisigun Heroes, an amazing party game that can also be played online, but that's beside the point. It is a top-down shooter, grid-based thing where everyone is invisible, including you. You have to keep track of everyone and try to kill them while you have to keep track of everybody, looking at bushes to see if they bumped it and things like that. It even features a completely free-to-play version of the game where you just don't have all the maps and features, but you can play with anyone else for free, and it's awesome and you should try it. Next up is Nidhogg 2, the sequel to Nidhogg. It is a sequel in a very good way, in that Nidhogg was a really good game. Nidhogg 2 is the same game, but better. It's a crazy concept for some, but Nidhogg 2 does have a very different art style. A lot of people don't like that, but I find it to be quite nice. It has new weapons, new maps, and it's just a jolly good time. Snipperclips is an amazing 2-player co-op game. There's also a few 4-player modes, but it's primarily a 2-player co-op game where you spin around, cut people out, and try to solve puzzles using different shapes and logic, and it's incredibly fun. Very charming game that is a good few hours of co-op enjoyment. The Jackbox Party Pack 4 is just as fun as other Jackbox games. It has a bunch of really fun games. There's a few stinkers, but overall it's a great fun time, and if you've played Jackbox before, it's a great another installment with more fun games. Fibbage All About You is a particularly enjoyable experience. Monster Seeking Monster is one of the most games they've made, if that makes any sense to you, and it's overall just good stuff. Death Squared is a top-down, up to 4-player co-op game where you and a bunch of other cubes have to solve various puzzles. It is a very fun game and feels very inspired by Portal in its theming and style, and it has very solid puzzles and a very nice aesthetic. It's very enjoyable. And the winner for Best Couch Crouching for Couch Multiplayer Game is Invisigun Heroes. Invisigun Heroes is really good. It's super fun and exciting, and it's a really good game. I highly recommend it. Again, it's free to play on Steam. You can play with a bunch of other people who are free to play, or people who have paid for the game, and the only difference is a few characters and maps will be locked out to the free account. But it's great, highly recommended. You should go play it, and it is free. I can't stress that enough. It also has online, so I don't honestly know why it's in this category now that I think about it. Actually, like a lot of these games have online play. You know what? It's a bad category, maybe. It's a bad category. But Invisigun wins the award for Best Online Couch Crouching for online multiplayer. First up is Nintendo's Stretchy Limbs ARMS. ARMS started out as a sort of incomplete feeling package. However, after the nearly 6 updates it received, 6 major updates, it feels like a very, very complete and very fun fighting game, and I quite enjoy it. Second up is Nintendo's Inky-based shooter, Splatoon 2, a game which released feeling significantly more complete than its predecessor, and still is receiving free updates to this day. The only real problem with Splatoon 2 is the fact that sometimes when you log in trying to play one of the modes, or trying to play on your favorite map, it's simply not playable, and there's nothing you can do about it except wait, which is incredibly stupid. But besides that, when you actually get to play on your favorite map or mode, you'll have an absolute blast. Next up is Atomega. Atomega is a sort of experimental first-person shooter made by the team at Ubisoft that brought us Grow Home and Grow Up. And you start out as a little guy, and as you shoot people, they are all made of blocks, and you can pick up blocks on the map or from shot foes to grow up. That was an unintended pun. But you grow up, build yourself out of blocks, and become bigger and bigger and deadlier until you keep shooting people and become Omega form, or Atomega. And it's pretty fun arena shooter for what it is. However, it is fairly limited in modes, maps, and players, meaning that it's hard to recommend beyond a few minutes of sort of interesting gameplay. Lastly is Tooth and Tail. Tooth and Tail is a simplified RTS where you play as an animal and you control all the other animals by playing as an animal, unlike most other RTSs where you are sort of some sort of omniscient being controlling the battle from the skies. You actually play as a character, and your character is what does things. It is very, very fun. The art style is amazing. The story and music is phenomenal too. It's so interesting. The world they've built is so fascinating. It's sort of communist going on. There's all sorts of cool themes and interesting things going on in Tooth and Tail, and it's quite awesome. And the winner for Best Online Couch Crouching on Online Multiplayer is Splatoon 2, even though I fucking hate it, because I can't play it unless I wait for the mode to work. But when it finally does work, I had so much fun playing the Salmon Run, particularly with a bunch of friends, that it still gets the award, even though I had to wait until 2 a.m. one time to play it with them, which is incredibly stupid. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Before the next award, I'd like to take a moment to remember the greatest tragedy of 2017. Lawbreakers, a great first-person shooter that nobody plays. Hey, is that the guy from Rick and Morty? Award for Best Art Style, and coincidentally they're all 2D platformers, so that won too. First is Sonic Mania, which looks like an old Sonic game and plays like an old Sonic game. I hadn't really seriously played an old Sonic game before, and my conclusion after playing Sonic Mania was, it was okay. I wasn't particularly thoroughly impressed by it, but I also didn't dislike it either. I played it through to the end and it was pretty fun. Definitely not the best thing ever, but definitely not the worst either. Next is Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap, which looks really awesome, sounds really awesome, and also lets you almost immediately switch between the two, which is really fun, and it plays really well. It's based on some really old game I don't remember, from the Genesis or something. It's really old, but they remade it. It looks beautiful and it really plays well too. It's a really, really good game. Next is Cuphead, which, I mean, do we really have to go through the formality? It wins the best art style. Do you see it? Have you seen Cuphead? Yeah, it wins best art style. It wins best art style every year, actually. It's just that good. And it plays pretty well too. There are some problems with the gameplay. I think the fact that there's the simple mode, but it doesn't let you finish the game, is kind of silly. And sometimes I feel like they push the difficulty harder than they need to. Sometimes it feels cheap, especially when enemies do attacks that are brand new and they are not really telegraphed well and you just die and it's kind of like, that's dumb. But it's a really good game, and it looks and sounds better than anything else ever, so that's a big plus. Next up is Rain World. Rain World is a game that looks really cool. It has this sort of procedural animation where things kind of flow and liquidize. It's really weird, but it looks awesome, and it plays pretty well too. It's kind of confusing because the game's tutorial doesn't really explain some things to you. It doesn't really make it clear what a lot of the mechanics are, so it's kind of confusing to play, but it's pretty fun and interesting to look at for sure. Next up is SteamWorld Dig 2, a game which looks good, sounds good, and plays really good. It's an incredibly fun game to play. You dig around just like in the first game. This time, though, the levels are not procedural, which gives the game a lot of extra power as a game. It gives it less replay value, but it gives it way more just good gameplay. So, we already know that Cuphead won Best Art Style. We already went over that. But the best 2D platformer on the list is Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap. For being, I just loved this game. It was so much fun, and I adore it. It's the best 2D platformer from the category. It won the category, wouldn't you know it? Award for Just Trust Me, it's free. Just download it, you won't regret it. Doki Doki Literature Club is an amazing game. It's the type of game you should go download as soon as possible. Just trust me, you won't regret it. And don't give up on finishing it either. Just keep playing, and eventually you'll be rewarded with one of the best gaming experiences of the year. Old TV, formerly known as Just V, is a game that messes with your brain. Basically, you know how sometimes you read a word like red, but it's colored blue, and you cross the wires? Yeah, that, except with a killer soundtrack, great visuals, and more depths and mechanics than you'd expect. The award goes to you, because you can just download both of these for no cost at all and have hours of fun. Just trust me, you won't regret it. The award for offbeat gameplay that works. First is Battle Chef Brigade, a game where you are a battle chef, where you run around, murdering monsters in a 2D platform brawler style, then run back and play a sort of match 3 style puzzle game with the ingredients in order to cook up food to serve the judges. It is a combination made in heaven, because it's amazing. It's so good. It's so much fun and interesting to play. It's just awesome. Next up is Pan Pan, a Tiny Big Adventure, which isn't that offbeat, but it fits here sort of, so it's here. It's a game where it's a sort of isometric top-down puzzle game. You walk around the world and try to solve puzzles, and it's pretty nice. Next up is The Bridge, which is another puzzle game. Another game that probably doesn't really belong in the category, but I like to have 4 things in a category at least. I think that's nice. And The Bridge is a puzzle game where you control a dude in an MC Escher-looking world, and... not MC Escher. That's wrong. Wait, what's the guy's name? I don't remember. Is it Escher? No, it's not Escher. I don't know. Like, if you look at it, you probably know, because I don't know. I don't remember. There's a word for it. Is it Da Vinci? I don't know. It's probably like the Da Vinci Code. But the point is, you play a dude, you run around the world, and you twist the whole world in order to get stuff to happen. It looks nice. I wish it was faster. It feels very, very sluggish to play, which isn't the biggest deal in the world because it is a puzzle game, but it can be a little annoying and tedious when you solve a puzzle and have to sit there for so long to actually do it, although it does let you rewind as much or as little as you want to fix mistakes, so they do have that to alleviate that a bit. Next up is the other very offbeat gameplay of Tumbleseed, a game where you control a bar that has a ball on it, and you have to balance the ball on the bar in order to get it to climb up a mountain, which is really weird, but really fun. You use the control sticks. Left stick pushes the left side up or down, right side does the same, so you can push both at the same time to make the bar just go up straight, but there's holes all over, there's enemies, and you're going to have to avoid them. And it's very interesting and different. It's very, very challenging, but it's also very fun and exciting to play. It's very satisfying. And the award for offbeat gameplay, that works, goes to Battle Chef Brigade for being just so darn cool. It's just so cool. It's a game with two such unlike genres being mixed, and the theming makes so much sense that it's just so satisfying to play. It's great. It's really good fun. And now a quick word from our sponsor, games that start with the letter P that I wish I played this year. Persona 5, Pyre, Park South, The Fractured But Whole, Pier Automata, Pass Snake, Pite in the Woods, P End Is Nigh, Sand, Prains 2. Thanks for that great word from our sponsor. Next up is the award for Game of the Year. We've got 7 lovely entries into the list, starting off with Super Mario Odyssey, a game which came out and obviously took the world by storm for being really good. After that, we have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a game which came out and took the world by storm for being really good. Next, we have A Hat in Time, a game which came out and took the world by storm for being really good. Next up is Hollow Knight, a game which took the world by storm because it was of high quality. After that, we have Crawl, a game which nobody fucking knows about, but is really, really good. And after that, we have Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a game which came out and is really, really good. And the Game of the Year, objectively and not opinionated, is... So Hollow Knight is my Game of the Year, and because I don't feel like thinking it through, everything else is tied for second. Now, they aren't that far behind, but